Hey, today we're going after bass with the Shad Chaser box from MTB. This is a specialized box that is all about the shad spawn. We're coming up on that time where shad start to move in the backs of the creeks, bass start schooling up on points and in those creeks. So we got a specialized box just for doing that, and I'm going to show you guys how to fish these baits that are in this box. This is a go-to bait in the fall. This is a 6 cent square bill right here. One of the great things about 6 cents, they do amazing paint work on the lures. So you're getting that realistic, lifelike shad look to that bait. It's exactly what we're going after. So on these square bills, on this particular size, I like to throw this on a 7-foot medium action rod, preferably something that's a glass rod or a glass composite like I have here. And I throw this on 15 to 20 pound fluorocarbon line, depending on how heavy a cover that I'm fishing. And I like to bang this around docks, brush, and you can also swim it in open water when you're seeing bass moving around, seeing that shad moving. And I also like to fish it on a high-speed reel because you're trying to really get those reaction strikes out of this. A lot of starting and stopping with this bait. Here we go, guys. I just bounced that crankbait off a piece of wood. Actually a little dock, and this thing just grabbed it. Nice bass. Literally had to hit the dock though to get that reaction strike. There we go. See how he ate that? Right on the outside. Got to grab the end of it, but I had to hit that piece of cover right there to really get him to react to it. But it's a great way to get those reaction strikes out of those bass, and it doesn't get hung up too much. Well, another bait that you can throw when it's like really calm and it's a little just stagnant conditions, I like to throw a drop shot. This is the fish belly split tail right here. Great little bait you can put on a drop shot or a little jig head and kind of bounce around the bottom. But I like to fish it around any type of vertical structure. So docks, and I've got an old little dock right here that's kind of blown down on a main lake point right here. And this is an area where the shad are starting to gather up and the bass are starting to school before they go into those creeks. So I'm gonna see if I can just dabble this around. This is all you want to do, really. Just kind of take it, pitch it to those little vertical pieces of cover, and just shake it in place. And if they're not really active and schooling yet, this is a good way to catch them. I like to fish these drop shots on 8-pound test line, and I've got a 2500 size spinning reel right here with a 7-foot medium action rod. It's a medium power but a fast action. So I can have really good sensitivity, and when I set the hook into those fish, the rod's got a lot of bend. There's a fish right there. Got one. I was literally just shaking it in place by that pole. Came over and grabbed it. He actually stood up, lost my lure on that fish belly split tail. Just a little guy. Kind of the size fish that you expect to catch when you're fishing a drop shot. They can catch big fish too. You can see how fat this fish is as well. Really thick in the tail, really starting to feed up. But right here in these little stagnant conditions, the wind's not blowing very much, the drop shot's the way to do it. Jerk baits are another really good bait to throw when bass are schooling, or you can fish it around suspended fish. I like to fish it around floating cover. I've always caught a lot of fish around marinas and docks and anything that's kind of floating that the fish will suspend under and chase those shad. In the early mornings and evenings when the shad start to come to the surface, this is a great bait to throw it. This is the Asura Sashimi jerk bait, and one of the cool things about it, it's got a color change to it. So there's a lot of different colors. This one kind of goes from a pink to a chartreuse, and it's got that you know, the silver belly to it, and a nice little feather treble on the back of it. But all you want to do is just jerk this right under the surface. Make sure you're giving it some pauses, and I like to fish it on 12-pound fluorocarbon line to get it a little bit more sink and stay in place. Something around a 6'6", 6'8", even 7 foot if you're tall enough. Medium action rod, kind of like you would throw a crankbait on, and then just a, you know, a regular, whatever your favorite size reel is, speed reel. You're good to go with these. No reason to fish it super fast. You're really just giving those pauses and twitches and waiting for that bass to bite it in between when you pause it. This is the Nickel Lures Pulsator spinnerbait, and one of the cool things about it, it's a single willow blade. So if you wanted to fish this around vertical structure, docks, pilings, trees, anything like that, you can just let this helicopter down almost like a jig. And I put the fish belly split tail on here as a trailer, and it's a nice little combo, chartreuse and white combo. But man, you want to talk about a versatile bait. You can fish this whenever the shad are coming up to the surface, popping, just kind of subsurface, really shallow water, or let it sink down, you know, 10, 15 feet around suspended fish. There's a lot of ways you can fish this bait, but my favorite way to fish it is just under the surface and kind of giving the rod some twitches and letting that bait really work, let that skirt work. And I like to fish it on a 7-foot medium heavy action rod with a 7.2 gear ratio reel, so I can get up there and really get that bait moving pretty good if I want to. And it's an awesome shad imitator, and you cannot beat a spinnerbait in the fall. You better have a white one in your box. Go. Spinnerbait, Pulsator. So it's evening time and we're starting to see some schooling fish. The plankton will rise at the surface in low light conditions in the mornings and the evenings, and that brings those shad up as well. And the bass will follow. They'll pin them right against the surface. So in this shad box, mornings and evenings are really good times to fish that first couple feet of the water column and start to look for those little flickers of shad, and the bass to be not very far behind. They'll come right up and pop them. This is the zero gravity jig, and it's a pretty unique jig. It's designed to sink very slowly, about 1 foot every 3 seconds. So you're almost fishing this like a weightless soft plastic bait, like a Senko, like you would a Wacky Rig Senko. And that's what kind of gear I'm fishing this on. A medium action rod, something that's got a fast tip, so I can set the hook in it, but you gotta have that flex in the rod so you can cast it out there. And I'm fishing it on light braid, 20-pound braid with a 15-pound fluorocarbon leader, so I can really set the hook into the fish good, because I've got that weed guard of the jig on there. But I'm gonna fish this around really thick, shallow cover like I've got in front of me, almost like a swim jig to kind of get that out of there. And anywhere I would fish a Senko style bait. So pitching it around docks, anything that's vertical that you can let this thing sink down. Put you a little trailer on there like that fish belly split tail, and just kind of let it sink down. There's a number of ways you can fish this, but you'll notice it's really light. It's going to be hard to throw on heavy tackle like you would a traditional jig. So make sure you downsize on your equipment a little bit when you're fishing this thing. Just got that fish on that zero gravity jig, twitching it. Feisty one. Here we go. Got him on the zero gravity. Really unique bait. Just fishing that like I would a Senko or a fluke, twitching it kind of at the surface and letting it sink by these little pieces of cover. Again, these fish are just feeding up on shad. You can see how thick they are. That fish is just full. Looks like my dog Winston at home, my little bulldog. He's just really fat. So these little shad style baits, they are the deal for the fall. Hey, the Shad Chaser box is a great way to go after those bass in the fall on all sorts of cool cool little baits that are imitating shad. So make sure you go check that out if you're around any kind of water that has bass that are chasing shad. They got you covered from the beginning to the end of fall. Really cool box. And if you want to check out the other themed boxes, make sure you go check those out at mysterytacklebox.com. They're doing us all a great service, saving us time by putting those fish catching lures in the box in one easy little package. So hope this tip helps you. This is Justin Rackley signing off here at Mystery Tackle Box.